strong enough to bear the burdens that sometimes come living this thing called life? Am I wise enough to make the right decisions when I'm standing at the fork in the road? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone, and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Will I have enough to do the things I need to do to take care of myself? Will I have the health of mind and body to live a life of grace and wholeness? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone, and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place. I am the place where God. You are the place. Moves and breathes and has we its are being. The place. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place. I am the place where God. You are the place. We are the place.
I dreamed of rain and the rains came, soft and easy, sweet and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, soft and easy, sweet and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of summer and the winds changed, and the green was easy and the rivers ran clear. I dreamed of summer and the winds changed, and peace spread over the land. And the flowers bloom in the desert, and the air is fresh and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land.
Good morning. We are happy to be with you this morning at Unity, and I'm happy to have Reverend Christy with me this morning. We've missed having you here.
I'm delighted to be back. Thank you. Thank you. And I just have enjoyed staying in touch with so many of you. I've been reaching out with phone calls, and we're doing our best here to stay connected and let you know how important you are to our community, and I've really enjoyed that. So thank you for taking the time to listen to me and engage in conversation and connect in that way. And I have enjoyed on Sunday mornings lighting a candle from our respective places. We've been doing that. And so this morning, I light this candle in honor and recognition and the awareness of the light within each of us.
And as she lights the candle this morning that represents that Christ candle, the divinity within each and every one of us, we're lighting another candle. This candle today is in honor of and in memory of that milestone we are approaching, unfortunately, of almost 100,000 people in the United States that have died of the COVID virus, almost 350,000 people worldwide. The thought occurred to me this week that I want us at Unity to start something every April 19th called CV19, honoring. You know, most of us spent all of April being sequestered, and to lose this many lives and to still be losing lives, I really do believe that we would benefit from pausing every year to remember what this felt like. So we want to open with a prayer, and I invite you to turn your awareness within. We greet this day, this beautiful Memorial Weekend, in the spirit of beauty, the recognition that all of life has many different faces and phases of beauty. And so we open this day to the beauty of love, to the beauty of our life, to the beauty of God expressed in all creation. And for this sacred time of gathering in spirit and in truth, we are truly grateful. Thank you, God, and so it is. Amen.
And so you have seen the announcements that were rolling earlier, so I really invite everyone to take a look at our website and look at all the opportunities that have been presented for each of us to engage and continue spiritual support on our journey.
And we had a bunch of people who took that survey online.
Yes, we did. And thank you so much for taking the time to do that survey. And if you have any questions regarding that, you'll be getting some more information today. But if you have any questions or you want further conversation, please feel free to call the church here. And I check the messages frequently, so I will get back to you. And also, if you're in need of prayer support and would like support in that way, please don't hesitate to give the church office a call. And we have a dedicated prayer line for confidential prayer requests, and that is extension 5 once you call our main number. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Christy, for being here with us today.
Thank you.
And I do want to thank, as she said, about 140 people responded to our survey online for your feedback about what it may look like when we return to church, and we want to thank you for your thoughtful feedback. It was pretty clear that everyone is doing what we want to do, and that is to be conservative, to be mindful, and to do it all in the spirit of love. So we are hoping that by the 1st of June, we'll be bringing the band back, and then we have a group that's working diligently to get everything in place in accordance with our insurance company to make sure that we can disinfect and distance and those sorts of things. So stay tuned. We'll be coming back together as soon as we can safely do so and gradually allowing that to happen. I want to share one other bit of really good news. We are getting ready to raise the roof, and I know we've been working on this and holding that vision, but I'm so excited to say that we had 3 different lending institutions who said, who gave us favorable information about working with us toward the $600,000 that we've raised, that we have committed in pledges over a 3-year period of time. And so we elected to go with Home Trust. We've signed the application, and we really should begin raising the roof soon. And as some of you have said, let's get that roof raised so we can have services, at least an overflow outside. So we look forward to that hopefully soon. We've got a couple of things for you this morning before I jump into the talk today. Michael Morano, one of our board members who is also a veteran, is going to share something, and then a quick update from our youth program, and then a song by our cat and our band, and I'll be right back. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Unity community. I am Michael Morano, a member of your Board of Trustees and a retired Coast Guard veteran. Today, I'm at the Western Carolina State Veterans Cemetery here in Black Mountain, one of thousands of cemeteries across this nation and throughout the globe. Tomorrow, we will observe Memorial Day, a day that was originally set aside shortly after the Civil War to remember the ultimate sacrifices of the soldiers at that time. Since then, thousands upon thousands of courageous men and women have given their lives during time of war, and those that went on for weeks and months and years carrying the scars of war, later succumbing to such things as Agent Orange, PTSD, and sadly, to those 29 veterans that take their lives every day. What does Memorial Day mean to me as I stand here, reflect, pause, and pray? I think about the liberties that I can speak to you freely. I think about the liberties of being able to attend the church of my choosing, and so many other liberties. These men and women have secured peace throughout the world, defended our homeland, and rescued the oppressed. So much to be grateful for. So tomorrow, as it heralds, for many of us, heralds the beginning of the unofficial beginning of the summer season, whether you're flipping burgers or have the courage to jump in that cold mountain lake, take a moment to pause, to reflect, offer up a prayer of gratitude, but as well offer up a prayer of protection for those that are still serving and those that are still struggling. Namaste.
Wherever there is laughter ringing, someone smiling, someone dreaming, we can live together there. Love will be our home. Hi, Unity of the Blue Ridge families. I'm Reverend Gaby, and I just wanted to remind you that Reverend Barbara Ann and I are doing brand new weekly Sunday school lessons for the kids, and they're getting pretty creative and very fun. So be sure and check those out, and some adults might enjoy it as well. Have a great Sunday.
I sing a prayer with every name I know is God, so I can magnify the glory of the one, God of light and shadow, Spirit of the wind, Father of creation, or the Mother of the sun. I sing a prayer with every name of God I know, and each name another window to your soul. Tell me your name and let me be whole. So many faces of God, so many faces of God, so very beautiful, so very, very beautiful. So many faces of God, so many faces of God, so very beautiful, so very, very And if it seems the world has fallen to its knees, I am calling for the love of the divine. A savior, a messiah, a teacher or a saint, a poet or a prophet, or a hero of an age. I sing a prayer with every name of God I know, and what's stirring in my soul is something real. Tell me your name and let me be whole. So many faces of God, so very beautiful, so very, very beautiful. So many faces of God, so many faces of God, so very beautiful, so very, very beautiful. So many faces of God, so many faces of God, so very beautiful, so very beautiful.
So very beautiful. So many faces of God. We want to welcome you again this beautiful morning. And the title of my talk today is Worship Reframe. And that title actually came to me a few weeks ago because I started our church insurance company called Church Mutual, began holding webinars and different things. And so I've attended so many things that are titled How to Safely Reopen Houses of Worship. And there's been a lot of kind of controversy around that in the last couple of days. And so I thought it was interesting that I had planned to talk about this before that. But, you know, just that term, houses of worship, one of the things that I've enjoyed in attending some of these conversations about how to safely return is there have been individuals there from churches, from synagogues, from mosques, from temples, from tabernacles, from meeting halls, all different places that are considered places where people go to practice their faith, houses of worship. And I noticed how that word worship kind of lands with me. And so I wanted us to talk about that today, that what is worship? What does it mean to you? What images come to mind? And what may we gain by considering the concept of worship? I want to begin with a story I heard about a kindergarten teacher who gave her class of kindergartners an assignment of show and tell. And each student was instructed to bring an object to share with the class that represented their respective worship. So the first student got up and he said, "My name is Benjamin, I'm Jewish, and this is the Star of David." The second student got up, "My name is Vivian, I'm Catholic, and this is a rosary." The third student, "My name is Tony, I'm Baptist, and this is a Bible." And then the fourth one, "My name is Addison, I'm from Unity, And this is a casserole. and I love that image, and to me it makes me sort of think of what Clarissa Estes said when she said, rather than chairs and tables, I prefer the ground and the trees and the caves, for in those places I felt I could lean against the cheek of God. And so this concept of worship or places of devotion, the bigger idea of devotion itself, we want to look at today. And as I began to work with this, I have come up with what I'm calling the ABC of worship. And so, in a nutshell, for me, if I were to really say, what is worship for me? It's an everyday dedication to divinity. An everyday dedication to love. God is love. An everyday dedication to divinity, to God, to love. The Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, your soul, and to love your neighbor as you love yourself. That love is the highest law. The scriptures also talk about God is love. And so how can we begin to reframe our understanding of worship so that it does become more of an everyday dedication to love, an everyday dedication to divinity, whatever word that you would like to use. So the ABC. A of worship for me begins with acknowledging our oneness with God. Myrtle Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, who was bedridden and only had months to live, was living with a diagnosis of tuberculosis, experienced an incredible healing. Her husband experienced a healing. They were the co-founders of this philosophical movement called Unity that is ever expanding in its understanding and expression of who we are as an expression of all that God is. But Myrtle Fillmore said that the beginning and the end was acknowledging our oneness with God. And so, sometimes to look at something, what does that mean to acknowledge our oneness with God? Sometimes it's helpful to understand what it's not. I read a lot, and I read another funny story this week about Maurice Sendak. He is the author, or was the author, he's no longer living, but back in 1963, he published that children's book, Where the Wild Things Are. Many of you may remember it, you may have read it to your kids or your grandkids, but a very popular children's book, Where the Wild Things Are. And Maurice was known for, children and parents wrote him letters all the time, and he was known for responding to every single one. He prided himself in that. And one time he was asked what was his favorite letter, and this is what he said. He said he received a letter once from a little boy whose mom had obviously helped him write some words, but the little boy had drawn this picture, and he said it so spoke with him that when he sent a card back, he actually drew a little picture of one of the wild things, which he rarely did. And he wrote to the little boy, "Dear Jim, I loved your card." And he drew Jim a little wild thing. Then he got a card back, and this, he said, was his favorite card ever. It came back from little Jim's mom. And she said, "When we got the letter back, Jim loved your card so much, Mr. Maurice, that he ate it." And Maurice Sendak said, "To me, that was one of the highest compliments I've ever received. This little boy didn't care that it was an original Maurice Sendak drawing or anything. He saw it, he loved it, he ate it." So, when we think about being one with God, it's interesting, but this religion came along and began to organize, and what we have as organized, institutionalized religion. And what began to happen is there began to be that God was elsewhere. As a matter of fact, originally God was up there, and it was God up there and me down here. And so what happened as a result of that, if God is up there and me is down here, then the church created what we could call middle management, or the middle man, that who would be the bridge. And the church appointed their leaders, their own selves, to be the middle management between God up there and me down here. But unfortunately, it didn't stop at that, because when that got created, then they begin to say, well, God is revealed to just us, or God is revealed to only these people. No salvation for you unless you pay the penance that we say you should pay. No going to heaven for you unless you believe the way we say you should believe. No blessings for you unless you worship the way we say you should worship. And so the worship began and was created in some ways to bridge that gap between God out there and me down here. But unfortunately, that theology is a man-made story of disconnection. And the most interesting thing to me personally about that is that's the very thing Jesus spoke about. And yet, unfortunately, not long after Jesus' death, the institutional Christianity moved toward making Jesus alone responsible for that presence. And yet that was the very thing that Jesus was continually saying, re-envision who you know yourself to be. Re-envision what you think the divine is and where you think the divine is. Re-envision what it means to worship, to find the worthship, to find the value in all of creation. He said that the same Spirit that lives in me lives in you. The things that I do, you shall do and even greater. That he was constantly teaching, as the indigenous cultures did, that there is nowhere where God is not. But I think for many people, the very word worship can conjure up images that kind of have what I call a yuck factor, because there's a true remembrance of that false idea that there's a God up there and a me down here. And for many people, that has even translated as, well, there's God out there and me in here. And what our goal is to understand that, yes, God is everywhere, out there, up there, down there, everywhere. But God is also in here. To acknowledge our oneness with God, however we do that, is really a foundation of beginning to live with an everyday dedication to divinity, an everyday dedication to love. In the Gospel of Acts, chapter 17, verse 24, it says, God, who made the world and the things in it, being God of heaven and earth, does not live in temples made by hands, nor is God served by human hands as though God needed anything, since God gives all beings life and breath and all things. And so if worship is not anything we're doing for a God out there, what is its purpose? For me, it becomes a purpose of making my own divinity meaningful. It's about a homecoming to my true nature of love. It's an everyday dedication. In the Gospel of John, chapter 4, it says, God is spirit, and those who worship God in spirit and in truth. It's our very essence, our very spirit, that it's not simply God up there and me down here, or God out there and me in here. It's God within and God without. So, acknowledging our oneness with God. Ernest Holmes, I believe, said this in a very powerful way in helping us see that this God is love and acknowledging it. Ernest Holmes said, love is within us. It cannot be destroyed. It can be ignored. To the extent that we abandon love, we will feel it has abandoned us. Denying love is our only problem, and embracing it is our only answer. Through the power of love, we can let go of the past history and begin again. Love heals, forgives, and makes us whole. Now, I want to substitute the word love for God and have you listen to this again. Perhaps close your eyes and just listen this time. God is within us. God cannot be destroyed. God can be ignored. To the extent that we abandon God, we will feel God has abandoned us. Denying God is our only problem, and embracing God is the only answer. Through the power of God, we can let go of past history and begin anew. God heals, forgives, and makes us whole. You see, acknowledging our oneness with God also helps us create tolerance. And sometimes tolerance is like, I'll tolerate you, but maybe understanding is a better word. Because I could go into pretty much any fundamental church and read this the way I've read it, that using God, and most everyone would agree. If I substitute the word love for God, some won't like it. Perhaps you prefer love, perhaps you prefer God. The point is, how can you be in relationship with this God, with this love, whatever you call it or don't call it, so that it truly heals and makes us whole? An everyday experience of our divinity, of love, an everyday practice, an everyday commitment. And so the first is acknowledging our oneness with God, with love. The second, the B. B is be still. Breathe. The word Sabbath literally means rest. And in so many spiritual traditions, the Sabbath is a part of what's considered worship. And it's very important to carve out, when we talk about the Sabbath or rest, it's a conscious effort to pause. It's what Tyra Brock calls remindfulness, to be still and know. It's a conscious effort to pause and to disconnect from the normal modes of being busy, busy, busy and going, but to disconnect. That's the Sabbath, to rest. Our universe has given us a collective opportunity to disconnect. Now, I'm well aware, because I'm one of those people that has actually been busier because you've had to learn how to do so many things and keep doing those things, and yet still I've completely disconnected in many ways from my norm. And so it doesn't matter how much free time you may have had or how much free time you may have wished you've had. We all have the opportunity to be still, to experience that Sabbath, to rest. It's in those places of rest and quiet that for me, I really feel it bubble up, within me. In my life, and I've prayed this many times, the number one thing for which I am grateful is love, and what I call love of God. I genuinely have a felt sense of love that is bigger than any object, and it is the greatest presence in my life. It's the most valuable. I cherish it above all, and it's love. It's God. To really, really cultivate that, we all crave that. We all need it. We're all wired for that because we are all that. And so how are you being called, again, the first, to acknowledge your oneness with all that is, and then two, to be still, to breathe, to settle the mind. Oriah Mountain Dreamer is a great writer and teacher, and she shared a story. She's a Canadian mindfulness teacher. And she talked about one day she had been leading a seminar on meditation and connecting, sacred life. She said at the end of the day, a woman named Isabel, a small, thin woman, approached her. And Isabel said, "Can I do this meditation on my own?" she asked. Mariah said, "Yes, you can. Although many people find it helpful to establish a practice with the help of a group, it's hard to keep the discipline going completely on your own, but it is something you do on your own." "But what will it get me?" said Isabel. And what will I get if I do this every day?" Oriah Mountain Dreamer said her tone took on a kind of whiny quality, and I felt my irritation rising. How fast will it work? I mean, will I feel a difference after a week? How will I know that it's working? This was exactly the kind of thing I detested. The quest for a quick fix, a desire for guaranteed outcomes, the simple answer, do this and get that. Well, meditation is more a practice than a goal-oriented activity, I said. It can help you become more aware of what's going on within and around you, and it can reduce stress. My best advice is to try it and be patient with yourself. My sons were waiting, and I really did need to leave, and I felt myself getting irritated. I wanted to leave. As I started to move, Isabel suddenly reached out and grabbed my arm with surprising strength. But what I want to know, she said, her voice rising in a crescendo that bordered on panic. If I meditate, will I have an experience of someone or somebody out there listening, somebody with me? A wave of desperation swept out from her through me, and I was surprised to find tears welling up in my eyes. This woman wasn't looking for an easy answer or a guaranteed formula because she was lazy. She didn't want a simple plan because she was unable or unwilling to think critically about what would work. She wanted something that she knew would work and work quickly because she was hanging on by her fingernails. She wanted something that would work in a week because she was afraid she simply wasn't going to make it through the week or the month or the year. I put my hand gently over Isabel's where she gripped my arm, and I said, with tears in my eyes, "It's okay. It's okay, Isabel. We all feel desperate at times. Nobody does it all by themselves. We all need help. We all need each other. We all need to be in relationship with our wholeness. To be still, to breathe, that we all need to be in relationship with our wholeness." I grew up in the Pentecostal church, and there was a lot of singing and praise, and worship to me had a lively flair to it and a very intimate. It had both for me personally. But I remember my grandmother, and actually my great-grandmother, I remember the older people in the church singing an old song that said, "Oh Lord, I'm trying to make 199 and a half won't do. Oh Lord, I'm trying to make 199 and a half won't do." What they were saying is we need our wholeness. We need to remember our wholeness. But what struck me for the C, the A, is acknowledging our oneness with God, with all that is. The B is to be still, to breathe, to know. And the C is not the alphabetical letter C. It's A, B, and then it is C as in S-E-E, see bigger, or see rightly. Because when the elders in my church growing up would sing that song about 99 and a half won't do, then they would go on and say, "I've got to see right to make 199 and a half won't do. I've got to see right to make 199 and a half won't do." This is when I wish Richard was here to start playing. I got to see right. Acknowledging our oneness with all that is. Breathe, be still, see bigger, see right. In India, there's a saying that says, when a pickpocket sees a saint, he only sees pockets. Think about that. When a pickpocket sees a saint, he only sees pockets. Our days our life, what's going on around us, causes us to see what's right in front of us, causes us to get small in our thinking, small in our vision, small in our feelings, small. It's just part of life. Jesus said, don't be conformed to the world. Don't be conformed to the small vision, because I've overcome, and there's a part of you that always has bigger vision and can always overcome. Worship is about acknowledging our oneness with all that is God. Worship is to be still and know. And as that knowing begins to resound within you, you may sing, you may dance, you may be quiet, you may cry, you may laugh, you may run, you may do whatever, but to be still so that that felt sense of presence begins to arise. And then to see bigger. I dedicate my life, my eyes, my every day, I dedicate to divinity. Help me to see bigger and to not put a period anytime I'm looking like this, but to say there's this and. Lord knows our world needs people right now that can see the truth, that will deal with the facts, and that can also see bigger. Because ultimately worship is about a homecoming to our true nature, a homecoming to love. So I want to close with a final story. This is by Scott McClelland. He wrote the book Crap Appalachia. He says, one time a man left home. He had argued with his mother and father the day before he left, and they spoke horrible words to one another, and he left without saying goodbye. He had been gone for many years, and he had even spent time in jail. Years later, he finally got out of jail, and he wondered if his mother and father were even alive. He wondered if they were ashamed of what had been said between all of them, and he wondered if they were ashamed that he had wound up in jail. He wrote to them and told them he would be coming home on a specific day the following week. If they wanted to see him and they were not ashamed, they should put a blanket on the clothesline, and he would know that it was okay to come inside. If the blanket was missing, then he would know that he was not welcomed. He would know to turn back, and he told them either way, he hoped that they were in good health and that they knew that he did love them. The man arrived by rail the next week. He was nervous when he stepped off the train, and there was no one there to meet him. He walked up the worn path to the home place, and he thought about his past. He thought about his time in jail. He thought about how ashamed his parents must be. He thought about the horrible words they had all spoken. He was just about to turn around and go back when he saw a blanket in the tree. He continued walking forward, and he saw another blanket. He kept walking, and he saw another blanket. And he turned towards the house, and it was covered in blankets. The yard was covered in blankets. The clothesline was covered in blankets. The path to the door was covered in blankets. And his parents were standing there, holding a blanket, welcoming him home. My friends, that's love. That's worship. As we close our eyes, we realize that this day is a beautiful day and a beautiful gift of life. That life is a reflection of the one life. And that one life is God. And that one life is my life. And that one life is your life. This day we open to the remembrance to acknowledge our oneness with all that is. It's the power of namaste. I behold the divine in you. And may we be still and breathe. May we discipline ourselves to come apart for a while as Jesus, the master teacher, did, as Buddha under the Bodhi tree, as Mother Teresa, as whomever has cultivated the bringing forth of the love that they are, has cultivated time to discover that God is not up there and me down here, and God is not out there and me in here. But God is my very breath, my very spirit, my very life. Let me bring it forward. And then finally, let me see bigger. 99 and a half won't do. May I see the wholeness of the love that I am. May I see the divine principle at work in the midst of whatever is going on. May I see bigger. And anytime I feel myself narrowing down, I don't judge myself or should myself in a way that makes it work. I work it backwards. I breathe. I pause. A moment of Sabbath. Expand my vision. Bigger vision. Blankets of love. Welcoming me home to the truth of my own being. Today, again, we remember those who are serving on the front lines in a new way. Those who have lost loved ones due to the COVID-19 virus. We remember those who have served, and we honor Memorial Day as many other days. There's so many to remember. There's so many reasons to give thanks for this beautiful life. And so we rise up with a smile in our heart, with a smile on our face, even with a smile on our liver. And we say yes. Yes. And we give thanks in the name and in the nature of all that is, and all that is holy. Amen. My friends, I invite you into, really entertain what is worship for you and what is it not for you. And how could you be blessed and become more of a blessing if you created a way of everyday dedication to divinity, everyday dedication to love. Thank you. Announcement for you as we wrap up today, and then a glorious song by Kat and our band. I want to thank you again for your cards. Some of you have started sending pictures and little teeny sprouts coming up from the seeds that you received. So I want to thank you for the cards and the pictures and the emails. I really want to thank you for your gifts of tithe and offering. We're well aware that in this time, some people are not working and don't have the normal resources, and that is absolutely okay. We make these services available to go worldwide. Week before last, the first person I heard from when I got off the telephone was from Romania. So they spoke English, or I would have had no clue. Kirsten from Romania. But people are being blessed, and so anyone that can, if you can just go online, you can send a check, but whatever works for you, I'm a firm believer, and it has worked thus far, that if each of us give as we are called to give, and from what we have to give, then we will continue to go forward with vibrancy, and we will raise this roof very soon. Have a wonderful week, and I sure look forward to seeing you soon. God bless you.
Hi, I'm Ellen Winter, reading again today from The Wisdom of Donkeys by Andy Mirafield. Time slows down amid donkeys. In their company, things happen quietly and methodically. It's hard to forget their innocent gaze. It's a calm that instills calm. Your mind wanders, you dream, you go elsewhere. Yet somehow you remain very present. Milan Kundera says in his novel Slowness that speed, the demon of speed, is often associated with forgetting, with avoidance, and slowness with memory, with confronting. We move slowly when we want to listen to ourselves, to others, and to the world around us. We move slowly when we want to confront ourselves. If only we could slow down. The rush of contemporary life overwhelms our ability to observe, to hear, to step back and wonder, and to meditate. Our society, Kundera says, wants to blow out the tiny, trembling flame of memory. The birds are still chirping, yet the sun is disappearing now over the hills. There's a far-off tractor in a field, surrounded by bales of hay. The rush of contemporary life is a universe away these days. Enjoy this opportunity to have the universe be far away and the moment present.
Every day we're born again to create this world we live in. So now let's claim our good, speak our word, and release it to the universe. Right here is where we take a stand. Compassion for our fellow man. Right now we're making a difference. Oh, it's a new day. All together holding hand to hand. Sing our love across this wonderland. Right here we're making a difference. Oh, it's a new day. Every day is filled with wonder by the glory from the silent thunder unfolding from down under. Oh, coming from down under. Right here we're taking a stand. Compassion for our fellow man. Right now we're making a difference. Oh, it's a new day. Oh, it's a new day. Oh, it's a new day. All together hand in hand. It's a new day. Oh, it's a new day. Oh, Lord, it's a new day. All together hand in hand. Singing across this wonderland. Right now we're making a difference. Oh, it's a new day. Oh, it's a new day. Oh, it's a new day. a new